Thank you everybody for coming out tonight. My name is Taylor Gonzalez, and I'm the host of 50 Shades of Tate on YouTube. Tonight we have some of the casting crew of this film. And, oh, it looks like we have Scott coming in from Neverland.
Where's Martin?
He went to one as
well.
Oh,
okay.
Alright, so I'll just go ahead and have everybody introduce themselves and what their role was on the film going down the line. Oh, Martin made it.
Peter Pan.
Sorry. Flying in.
So I'm Scott. I produced the film and directed it and was also a writer.
I'm Peter and I played Michael Darby.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Vince Knight. I was the cinematographer.
I'm Rhys Frake-Waterfield. I was the producer with Scott.
I'm Martin Portlock, and I can't remember a damn thing.
Yeah.
No, did you like it?
Yeah.
How was it? Yeah.
That was very exciting to see in a theater with the whole crowd and everything. That was just such a cool experience because I saw it before tonight, but it was at home. And to see it on a big screen, you know, with a reactive audience is a completely different experience. So Martin, I'm gonna go ahead and start with you. First of all, welcome to LA. They just got here.
Thanks.
And
Yeah, literally, flew in yesterday.
so excited to have you here in person for this Q&A. Martin, your character goes to some really troubling, dark places. How did you get yourself into those dark and heavy headspaces?
That's a very good question. There's quite a lot of layers to the character of Peter Pan, especially this one. But how does one get into the headspace of being this horrendous, brutal killer, child kidnapper, someone who's controlling and abusive? So it's not really something that you can kind of draw on personal experience. So what I did, I'm a father of 3, and I looked into how would I feel if I was Wendy? Like what kind of fear would I be going through? And then thinking to myself, what kind of person would do something like that? And I think it's much more about the pain. What must have this guy have gone through? What pain must this guy have gone through in the past to enable him to do what he's doing right now with no remorse, and have this clear mental twist in his head that what he is doing is right. To actually have that belief that I'm doing all this for the right reason and it's good. And I think they're the most dangerous people in the world, right? The guys who do all the most horrendous things and actually truly believe that it's right. So that's about it. It's not just an evil thing. It's it's quite a deep psychological mindset that this guy's got.
Martin, do you believe that Peter Pan believes that that Neverland is an actual place?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It is a real place.
It is a real place. Have you not been there? Would you like to go?
Oh, that's where you guys were right now.
Yeah. He absolutely 100% believes that it's real. And I like to think that, when he sees his shadow, I don't necessarily know whether it's the drugs. I think there's something else going on here. I think maybe Neverland could actually be real in this. He was flying. He was flying in that scene. And maybe he really was.
It's a little bit open-ended.
Yeah, it's a bit open. Left it open.
This next question is a spoiler question, but everyone in this room has seen the film. For people watching this on YouTube, oops. But the ending of the film, where the music's playing on the phone, what do you think that means?
What do you think it means? You're filming. You're filming.
Poor David.
What do you think it means? You can't answer the question. What do you think it means?
A sequel.
A sequel. Sorry, Scott, we're going to have to get right in.
That was a
Alright.
surprise for you, wasn't it?
It was
That
that.
It was actually a
You haven't
surprise to
seen
me
it.
because I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah. So
That
half
was the first time I've seen this film.
yeah, half the country have seen it before Martin.
Yeah, bastards.
Yeah.
Alright, so up next I want to talk to Peter. How great was Peter as Michael Darling in this film, you guys?
Amazing.
You smashed it, bro.
This film is just such a great showcase of your emotional range as an actor, and I just think people are really gonna love your performance in this film. But this is your first time in LA, and I already know this, but for people in this room who do not know this, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to doing the most while you're in town?
Well, I mean, I visited the Walk of Fame first, and then. Yeah, I visited the Walk of Fame first, and then saw the Hollywood sign. But the food place I want to go is Raising Cane's first. Because, yeah, I saw that they did like this cup of sauce, and they dip your chicken tenders or whatever. Yeah, I really want to get that before I go back to London.
Yeah.
You gotta go to Tommy Burgers.
And now,
What was that, Tommy Burgers?
Yeah, Tommy's. Tommy Burgers.
I was actually telling your parents before the screening, there's a Raising Cane's in Burbank, and I think they're open till 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning, something crazy like that. So
After party.
the night is young. So Peter, I also talked to Scott Chambers, who's sitting to my left, about how this role was written specifically with you in mind. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how that made you feel knowing that this role of Michael Darling was written specifically for you.
I mean, it's just amazing. I'm really grateful to Scott and Rhys that they've written me, based the whole role on me. So yeah, I'm really grateful for that. So, but yeah, I'm just grateful.
We met, for anyone who doesn't know, we met Peter on Winnie the Pooh 2, because he actually played young Winnie in it. So
I see him in the scene with the rain where he's crawling out of the ground. Such a cool
yeah, that was
scene.
horrible.
And then Peter, your character has a range of emotions in this film, and I was wondering if you could also talk a little bit about what you do to access those emotions on screen.
Basically, I have a US acting coach, and she has taught me catharsism, which is basically you base your if, for example, if you want to cry, you use your real life experiences first, and then, for example, my dog died, then cry. So yeah, just basically use my real life experiences to bring out the emotions to the forefront of some acting.
All right, and then to your left is Vince, who was the cinematographer on the film. Vince, you worked with Scott on this film, and there's a clear use of shadows throughout the film, which is a wink back to the original Peter Pan and his shadow as well. Can you talk about the use of shadows throughout this film?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to make the film really dark and just really edgy, and you'll find a lot of the time there's really hard backlight and haze, and keeping everything very kind of sort of muted throughout the film. The colours are very greens and yellows and that sort of stuff. But yeah, we really want to experiment with sort of Peter Pan coming out of the shadows into, have light in his face and stuff like that.
The phone call, you had all those lines on the face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was also stuff like, for example, this first when they take the phone call, the parents from that point, well, the whole family have, we like them very warmly and all that kind of stuff. And as soon as they get that phone call, they step into bars, which is kind of like they're now in a trap. And the only way they'll get out of that is by defeating Peter Pan. And then at the end, they're out of it, and then she steps back into it when she takes the phone call. So we tried to, and the first time we meet Peter Pan, it's the big shadow on the floor. So tried to keep these winks in there without it being.
Yeah, got him doing the classic Peter Pan pose,
Yeah.
The funny thing about this film was most of it was actually shot during the day because child licenses and scheduling and the location, we just were limited to that sort of schedule. So all of Peter Pan's house is during the day with the windows blacked out, or us building little tents to put the lights through. which really made it hard, and especially when some of the rooms were like sort of 4 floors up, and we can't really get lights through the windows, so I was limited to putting lights into mirrors and making shapes on walls and all sorts, but yeah, I think we made it work.
And then Vince, can you also talk about some of the cameras that you used to film this? Because I know that there were some establishing shots and some drone shots that you used. What went on when you were making those specific scenes?
What went on, sorry?
Like, so the overhead shot that I'm thinking of specifically when Wendy Darling is driving, did you use a drone to get that kind of shot? And was that your first time working with something like that?
Yeah, we had like a drone unit that would sort of come in and they'd handle those kind of things because we had such a tight schedule. We sort of we'd be handling all the narrative stuff and the action and everything like that, and then a couple of the drawing shots were sort of done on like a DJI drone, and then yeah, the main camera was on a red helium.
All right, and then Scott, I am so curious, how did this idea of Peter Pan come about? How did you go from the Peter Pan that we all know and love from our childhoods to what we see behind us right now?
It's Scott's mind.
Yeah, so actually it was a weird process because we actually had an entirely different script to begin with. It was written, and it was me and Matt Leslie who did Winnie the Pooh 2 and all that kind of stuff, and we have the script, it's on my computer, and it would work now perfectly as a sequel. The whole film was set in Neverland, you got your crocodiles, VFX jumping out, doing all sorts, Tinkerbell was flying and all that crap. But when we then did Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, and it was absolute hell to shoot it because it was just, we aimed too high basically, and every single day, like I think the 3 of us were just hating it, and I just went, I don't think I can make that script anymore. And then when I went to budgeting it, I was just like, I think it's gonna be impossible, and I'm gonna like, I'm not gonna be able to execute it well, and I feel like everyone's gonna have a shit time. So I was like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board, which was super painful because at this point I've spent $10,000 of my budget on this script that I'm now not using, and obviously I didn't really have much, so it was like, damn. But so I was like, I'll write it now then, because obviously like I've already done that with that writer. So I went back to it and I was like, what excites me and stuff, and like what is like, what do you think about with Peter Pan? And then I was like, well, I personally think about Tinkerbell, Peter Pan, the Lost Boys. They were like the main things that I thought about. And I was like, what does Peter Pan do? He basically climbs through windows and says, come to Neverland, and you never see him again. So I was like, okay, cool. Instantly, it was like, I got it. And I was like, we can just play with this. And yeah, it would be amazing to have VFX crocodiles and all that, but you don't want it to look like a load of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then I'm sure everyone on the internet would be going, this looks crap, blah blah blah. So I was like, let's just tone it all down, scale it all down, and because I come from an acting background, I'm way more interested in like following characters and giving them like various obstacles and all that to get through. So Wendy was a lot of fun to play with, and obviously Peter Pan. And I always write characters that I would want to play. I don't really like the cliches like the drunk, the bitch, the slut. I don't really, it's not really my type of thing. So I tried to really create characters that like I'd met before and felt like 3-dimensional and stuff. So yeah, that's how I came to this. And like lots of people go, oh, one thing that's super annoying is like I keep seeing like, oh, you copied it and all this. Is like, do you know the truth of that? So like that first scene where he's in the floorboards, in the script it was in a letterbox, and I should have just fucking.
It was at the front door through a letterbox.
Yeah, and like it was Peter Pan going, you remember me, open the door and all this kind of stuff. But then I saw this hatch, and you don't have that in the UK. I was like, oh, I gotta fucking use it, and then you Pennywise.
And then another thing I wanted to talk to you about was the tone of the film. It's much darker and I would say more serious than the Blood and Honey 1 and 2. How did you settle on this specific tone for the film?
Yeah, so number one, again, it's super important to be excited to direct these. Like, if my heart wasn't in this, like, I'd have shot it like a TV episode or something, like wide, close, and just moving on. So you have to be really, really excited. And like for me, like I just really like serious stuff. I love like French cinema, and there's like a couple of winks in there, like Switchblade Romance and stuff like that. And that's like what really excites me. So as a director, I just knew that every day I'd want to give it 100% if it was something that I was like really into. So that was number one. And then number two, we're setting up for the Puniverse. And when you get to Puniverse Monsters Assemble, which is our version of the Avengers, I need you to absolutely hate Peter Pan. because we're not going to get time to kind of give you massive backstories, because there's going to be 10 characters in that are slashing everyone up, and I need you to instantly not like him, and he's going to be very pally with Mary Poppins and Mad Hatter. They're going to get on really well. So yeah, you're going to have the big bads and then the bads, and I'm hoping Peter Pan makes people like Pooh quite nice in comparison.
If and hopefully when there is a sequel to this film, where would you like to see Peter Pan go other than Raising Cane's?
So well, the script I have genuinely works, but it is all about if this does well, because I still can't shoot that on this budget, so I'd need more money. But I would love to actually make that script that we have, and it is set in, I believe at the end of this, like, it's not just drugs, there is Neverland, and he is some kind of god there, and the script completely gives every single thing that you're going to want, you know, from like the Disney stuff and all that, like all those fun elements are in there, but again, we want to execute it well and not just
Can you
guys
make
cash
me a
grabs.
better fighter?
Yeah.
When I'm in control, like, I'm nailing everyone, but as soon as I'm fighting anyone, I'm useless.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we can do that. But yeah, no, that's what I want to do. I want to do the script, so I can't say too much about it, because hopefully it happens. But that.
Very cool. Rhys, I want to talk to you about the larger Puniverse and how you see this film and also the character of Peter Pan fitting into that.
Yeah, so me and Scott have very different directing styles. That's why Scott went for this one, because it was a lot more kind of serious, whereas I'm way more campy. Like you kind of see from Winnie the Pooh. And yeah, this character, when we're heading into Puniverse, yeah, there's going to be kind of two different sides. You know, you're going to want to see a lot of the monsters. It needs to be really like action intense, and you know, you kind of have to follow the villains for a lot of that. So we need to come up with this alternative side, which is like the bigger bads. And yeah, Peter Pan is going to be on the side of the big bad. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the bigger bad. There is someone else orchestrating some of this, who he's kind of working with. So I don't want to spoil too much of that.
Oh, very exciting. Actually, did you guys catch that Rhys has a cameo in this film?
Oh no.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I don't know how many people actually spotted you. It's very quick, but it's a very
Hopefully
cool
not
cameo.
I think they should rewind it and show it.
It was in the circus scene, so when you had all of the extras there, you know, we all have to kind of like muck in and make it feel as busy as possible. So, and it's actually the director of Bambi. He was on set, he was editing it, and I was kind of doing all the logistical stuff and like location managing. And yeah, they needed a few extras in there. So I got dressed up like Winnie the Pooh, so I had all yellow face paint on, little pigtails, and Dan, the director, had some antlers put on him to look like Bambi. And if you actually pause it at one moment, I'm riding Dan. So I'm riding him a bit like a cowboy in the background.
But also
And
that day,
yeah,
you look like an absolute joke, because so that was number one, right? That day, everything in the circus was shot in like, I don't know, 10 hours. And then we got a visit from the like local council
yeah.
about the kids' licenses, because we had so many kids on set. So I'm trying to direct this film, and I'm thinking I've not even really started shooting with Pete yet, and he's like one of my main characters. And if this license gets taken off us, he's out. Like I'm screwed. And Rhys is getting called off into the corner, dressed as Winnie the Pooh, looks like an absolute joke. And he's got these two women, literally like.
Super stern.
Yeah, super stern. I'm like trying to direct, like, fuck! And I'm like looking at you, and I'm just looking, you look like a nightmare, and then they're going in on you, and I was like, oh, what, this film's fucked. But, you know.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, luckily they just believed him, and they thought he was all good, so it was all good.
And then, Rhys, I also wanted to ask, what other films are you guys currently working on? And I know you can't say too much, but can you give us a little bit of a tease of what people can expect to come?
Yeah, so we've got two more films which will be releasing this year. Bambi's going to be the next one. So hopefully there's a clip online, you can kind of see what Bambi looks like. So we're really excited for that. And about 4 weeks ago, we actually wrapped on Pinocchio, and that was the last one I directed after Winnie the Pooh 2. And yeah, I'm super excited for that one. We've got like someone called Todd Masters. He's kind of involved, and he was doing the puppet for it. He made Brahms from The Boy, and he did Chucky for Child's Play. So the doll is absolutely amazing. It's awesome. It's fully practical. So that was a nightmare to deal with and to shoot. But yeah, we've also got Robert England. He's going to be playing the kind of voice of the cricket, which is super fun to have like Freddy Krueger in your ear, and Richard Brake as well. So he's playing Geppetto, and he was amazing to work with. So yeah, we're super excited for those films. And then it's Puniverse.
Very exciting. So I'm going to open it up to audience questions, but before I do that, I have one question for anyone who wants to answer this, because I think that your cameo is such a fun one. Are there any other Easter eggs that any of you can think of that audiences should look out for the next time that they watch this?
I've got one. So you know when he says, "Ooh, would you like to hear a story?" And he goes over to the shelf. If you have a quiet look on the one side of the shelf, there's a row of books, and they're all labelled from the twisted childhood universe of each film.
Yeah, and if you pause them, you can see some sneak peeks of what we've got coming, which we haven't announced yet. So that's quite fun, but you have to really zoom in. But also the lady that plays Wendy's mum, she was young Christopher Robin in Winnie the Pooh 2, and she was my therapist in that. And if you notice, like we always knew when I offered her that, because I'd done a TV show with her, and I was like, she's so freaking good. And I was like, this role's really crap and small, but like you'll get a big role in that if you do it. So she did it. But if you notice, she was wearing the exact same top in that scene with me, in the scene where she finds out her son's gone missing. So it happens the same day. And also at the hairdressers, the one girl who was the opening of Winnie the Pooh 2, got her arms snapped and stuff. She works at the hairdressers, and she's like to Wendy and her mate, "Do you want to come glamping tonight?" So luckily they say no. But
And the shirt as well.
oh yeah, the Winnie.
shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some people recognise that.
Very cool. All right, do we have any questions out there in the audience?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
I wanted to know the part one thing. A person with the hook, is that a male or female?
Well, that's the little boy in the opening. So that little boy in the opening, the dad says 2 kids were never found. One of them was Tinkerbell, and then the other one was the little boy from the opening. He obviously probably, in my head, he didn't agree to go into Neverland. That's part of the parcel. You have to say, yeah, I want to go. And he probably said no, and then got tortured for years and years and years.
You remember when Wendy stepped on his photograph when she was in the basement? Remember that from the kid from the beginning?
Alright, go ahead.
Alright, hi. Going back to like Tinkerbell and Pocono, when you guys first teased Tinkerbell, this is not what I had in mind, honestly. It was actually a lot better. And I also noticed that you included more LGBTQ elements into this, and I just want to know how did you like start developing that idea and how to incorporate into something like this where they're just not the side character that ends up being the comedic relief or just another kill. Like, where did you start with that?
Well, I'm glad you like Tinkerbell, because that's one of my favourite things about this. So obviously I'm gay, so it's a big thing for me to try and represent people from my community in films, especially like, you know, normally if they're lesbians, they're having a fucking sex scene. I didn't want to do any of that in mine. I wanted it to be like, it's just in there, do you know what I mean? So yeah, when we always work backwards, so if you look at us, like we look like, oh, here we go again, like we're just clickbait hell. Like, so I think I threw out there like, oh, she's gonna be an overweight drug addict, but it's just clickbaits, right? Like I'm just doing it for clicks, and then when I actually do it, it's more about me being serious. So like I was thinking like really like in depth about how I could make Tinkerbell in this, and like if she was like, why would she be at the house? And I was like, well, what if she was a lost boy that got abducted, and then she said that she was a little girl, and therefore she didn't meet the criteria to go to Neverland. So then what did he do with her? And he manipulated her over all these years and got her addicted to drugs, which means that she'll do anything for him. So yeah, that was how she got developed, and yeah, she's something that I'm really, really proud of in this. Like I really, really love that. And casting Kit was Kit Green, who plays Tinkerbell. I must have auditioned honestly like 200 people or something like that, and I was getting really freaking nervous because they weren't good. And like everyone was just playing, like I'm just being honest, like everyone was just playing like weird and stuff like this, and then her tape come in, thank God, and I just thought she just brought so much to it, like the subtleties, and that's what I like as a director. And then the LGBT stuff with obviously Pete's character, Michael, and his little friend. I just think like we live in 2024, and I wanted to just have like really subtle things that were like 2 little boys at school. Who knows, maybe they are together, maybe they're not, and who knows, maybe they don't even know themselves what's going on, and I just thought you know, when I was a kid, there was never this type of representation ever. And I thought, especially in this type of film, where everyone thinks that I'm just clickbait and I'm cash grabbing, which I'm really not. Like, I've been trying to do this for about 13 years in my career now, and only now are people watching my stuff. So yeah, it's just important that I try and put stuff like that in for me personally.
All right, I think we have time for a couple more questions.
I'll have some.
Oh, go ahead.
Scott. Wendy, she never acted before. You just met her and she's a aerobics instructor.
Oh fuck. You're naughty. Still, and they're our producers as well.
No, but she's really good. She's really
No,
good.
Wendy's amazing.
Are you on about Wendy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Wendy. So Wendy, yeah. So basically, all actors in this got auditioned, and Wendy, yeah, she actually does. So it's really funny how I met her. So I auditioned Wendy. Thought she was insane, really, really good. And then yeah, it was actually a weird little thing that I went to a gym class, and she was actually there, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, Wendy, darling. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? I was like, I just auditioned you. You're amazing. And I was like telling her that she basically had the role, and that's how
I
she.
thought that's where you met her and said, hey.
Oh no.
Was she an actress before?
Yeah, she was an actress. So I think she'd just come out of drama school, and this was the first film. Yeah, and I just happened to meet her at a gym
Very
class.
good. Very good.
All right, and for our last question, go ahead.
I was originally going to ask about the Easter eggs because I do love how fun you guys also poke fun at yourself sometimes. My favorite out of all 3 movies I think so far has been like the "It's Pooin' Time."
Oh
joke.
yeah.
Like no one ever talks about it. It's just
Yeah.
my favorite thing. But since you guys already answered that, what was the turnaround from like script to screen? And I guess you mentioned some of the challenges, but did you guys have any other like pros or cons to how quick you're cranking these movies out that you've seen with this one specifically?
So it's really frustratingly, I had a script for this that I obviously didn't use, probably October 22 or something, and then whilst we were shooting Bambi, obviously I didn't direct that, me and Rhys produced it. By the time you get on set, hopefully if you've done all your work properly, like you can hopefully take a step back a little bit. So I was actually just writing the script for Peter Pan literally on set of producing Bambi. And by the time Bambi wrapped, so in 14 days I'd had a script, and then I just was trying to get people to read it, give me notes and stuff like that, and just going from there. And then we shot it in April, so we had the Winnie the Pooh, we were out in LA doing all the Winnie the Pooh stuff for the sequel, and then we got back a week later, I was on set directing it. I had a longer shoot because it's way more condensed. If you look at the amount of actors I've got and locations, it's actually a lot more scaled down. So I actually made it so I had like a 25-day shoot, which I think was the same as Winnie 2, maybe longer. And then once that was done, it was edited. I had an editor on set who was the director of Bambi, and he was like doing it every single day. So the time we wrapped, I then spent a couple of weeks and sent it to ITN for their notes and stuff, and Premiere for their notes, and then I think it was probably delivered in September of this year, and now it's out. So yeah, I shot it in April, and now it's out. Oh no, shit, 2025.
And the lead time between the script and the film was something like, it was like 2 months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was ready, and then 2 months later we
Yeah, but obviously we came out to LA and stuff, so it just ate time.
Well, I want to say thank you to everybody for coming out tonight and supporting indie horror. We greatly appreciate it. Did you have a question?
Yeah, how do you guys scout out the houses and the location? Is this in London or outside of London? Because the houses are amazing and like the settings. So like, how do you guys come about?
Well, yeah, the locations are absolutely everything to any film, because it's one of those things. If you have a crap background, it's going to look like shit. So I really focused on that. I put a load of budget into that. So some of them is in London, and then the big house where Peter Pan lives, that's actually in Wales. So I made everyone do a big trek for me up there. But the set designers, it was an emptied, abandoned all boys boarding school. So it used to be an all boys boarding school. So
It's actually haunted as well.
Yeah, and they do ghost hunts there. Yeah, but my amazing set designers, I think they had £15,000 budget, and they transformed an empty house into what you saw. So every single thing is them, and I'm really proud of them. They did really well.
It sets a lot of the movie, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for coming out tonight. We greatly appreciate you being here. And thank you to everybody for joining me tonight up on the stage. I greatly appreciate you guys as well. And congratulations on the release of your film and all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.